Thank you, Ron. Is there a motion to accept Ron Kelsey into this organization as such?
So moved.
Second? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
They told me I could make a few comments, but I won't talk as long as Jerry did. It was interesting because I went to that state fair, and the Ag Corps building was new that year, and I don't really remember very much about it, except that I do remember about my dad showing his corn. He showed corn for over 50 years, had championed over 30 years, and we always came to the state fair because of that corn. That's what we were about, and my sisters and my brother and myself have also had champion corn at the state fair. So it was something that we always did. But when I had the polio, that was the year that they did not have a fair because of polio, and I was the only one of the 10 children in our family that got the polio. But you only got polio in the summer. And so then I had taught myself to walk, and then I could go to the fair and continue going to the fair all the time since then. But I'd like to tell you about some interesting things that have happened during the 75 years that I've gone to the fair. There's been some interesting things. I mean, some people came and got married in our area at the State Fair in the Ag Corps building. And they came there and they wanted to know if they could use my seed sacks as the backdrop for their wedding. And I was a little bit taken back by them and kind of surprised about it. And then said something to them about, are you sure you want to do this? Something like that. And they said, don't you like these sacks? I mean, they didn't know that the 1,300 sacks that I have are my own. And we don't know if, we think it's one of the world's largest collections, but I mean, who's counting, you know? So we're not sure about that, but there are some large seed sack collections in Iowa too, of course. But so there was also an engagement one time in the crop art area where a couple was engaged. He had crop art display made asking her to marry him, and she came in and she knew nothing about this. She comes in, she looks at it, she said, looks like somebody's going to get engaged here. He said to her, yes, they are, it's you. So, that was kind of interesting. Another thing that was kind of interesting, one day there was a person following me around in a wheelchair, and I asked, do you need something? Do you want something? She said, yes, I would like your shirt. And I said, my shirt? She said, yes, I would like your shirt. I said, well, we have rules, and I have to wear this shirt. I'm working here, you really can't wear this shirt. So I go on, and I turn around, she's still there. She says, I said, okay, why do you want my shirt? And she said, I want your shirt because it says Minnesota State Fair staff on it too. And she says, my last name is Staff, and I want that shirt. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I would give my shirt off my back to anybody, but I can't give it to you because this one belongs to the State Fair and we have our rules. So she didn't get that. And I kept the shirt. And working there for 20 years, you know, you got 40 shirts, but I mean, they're important, keep them all. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that I have some samples of grain, 5 samples of grain that are over 100 years old. I have the stock of the grain, and we show those at the State Fair. And they've been there since, well, I mean, I found them in a school attic. And so I kept them in my house for 50 years, about 50 years. And some people were looking at them one day and they said, you kept them in your house for 50 years? You must not be married. I I said, I have an understanding wife. So that was what the situation was there. Another thing that I thought was kind of interesting is that when I first started working there, and I was there by myself, and it was in the evening, and it was probably 9:30 at night, and I went into I had had open heart surgery that year, so I had to, the grain dust, it makes you itch, and I was cleaning off the incision from the surgery, and so a person came into the bathroom and he turned around and he left. And I go back to work and 2 squad cars come. And they said, who are you and what are you doing? And I said, I work here. And well, what do you do, you know? And I said, well, I work with this grain. And I really didn't know why they were there. And then they just said, one of them said, did you go to the bathroom tonight? And I thought, this is just a little bit personal, but they're security, so you don't argue with them. So then they continue to ask some questions, and then a 3rd squad car comes, and the person comes over there, or the gal comes over there, and he says, we think we found him. And I had no idea. Well, what had happened is that the person that was in charge of bees and honey was his first year, and he reported me to the security because he didn't know what I was doing there at the fair. But it all worked out pretty good because the next year I got free ice cream. So from his story, so when he found out who I was, so he apologized for that. Another thing that I thought that was rather interesting is this last year I was talking about pollination of corn. And a person asked me, when they were talking to me, after I got done, they said, this is complicated. Who invented pollination? And I said, I think it was God. And, oh, he said, probably was, you know. So I kind of left it as it was. But another thing that I thought was rather interesting, too, I have these seed sacks, and I was, they're displayed there, and we can only display about 350 of them. But anyway, they're on the wall, and the State Fair has been good enough to let me have them there at the fair. And so then 2 individuals looking at them, and one said to the other one, I wonder who would invent, who would collect all these sacks. This guy must be crazy. I wonder, you know. I was standing behind him, I didn't say anything, but the other guy said, well, I saw him on TV and he looked normal. So, well, I guess maybe you think I look normal too. But I want, what I'd like to do here is I want to thank everybody who made it possible for me to win this award. You know, I work with Jill and Marie and Virginia and Aaron. And TJ Brown, you know, and I worked with Michelle before that. They're excellent. I mean, they make it what it is. Of course, we know that the Minnesota State Fair is the greatest state fair in the world, but they are very helpful always with me. Anything that I need, or that's, you know, any award that people win, it's always the people that are working with them. It's it's that Minnesota State Fair atmosphere that makes it possible to be able to do your job and be able to try to do your job the best you can. So I appreciate that. And so I appreciate also anybody who made it possible for me to win this award. And of course, we have congratulated Jerry a lot here, but he's been fantastic as far as this Minnesota State Fair is concerned. So I want to thank everybody that made this possible. Thank you. Jerry says I'm normal.